Welcome to the Startup Leader Show, where we learn lessons from leading startup founders and executives. I'm your host, Lisa Dreher. I'm excited to introduce our guest for today, David Israel. He is the founder and CEO of Good Planet Foods. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you, Lisa. Good to see you again.
Absolutely. It's so great to catch up. And, maybe we can start by having you just tell our audience a little bit about yourself and about Good Planet Foods.
Sure. I'll try to sum it up quick so I don't take up your whole show with that. Entrepreneur since I was 19. Have done everything from foreign cars to service companies to retail. Built 4 regional chains that I sold. Had some hard lessons, but all good. Everything makes you stronger. Got into the CPG or snack foods in 2011 with my popcorn company that kind of went haywire about 4 months after I launched because Oprah decided it was one of her favorite things. So I learned a ton about, we grew into an international company with, we were in 35 countries, had partnered with food companies in Russia and Japan for production and distribution on top of everything, built it into an international company, raised capital from great investors, but really wanted to get into the better for you category. So sold late 2016, majority of the business, and in early 2017 I stepped away, and I really wanted to have an impact in the better for you category. I wasn't sure what, and I really stumbled into at the time it was vegan cheese. I just heard a lot of complaints, and I'm a pretty simple thinker, so I thought this will be easy. And here we are, I founded Good Planet Foods in kind of mid to late 2017 and figured out how to create a better for you plant-based cheese.
Well, and better for you and better for the planet, right? So there's a focus on sustainability as well as part of the company?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because, I'm not a vegan. I always was a healthy eater, even with my snack foods. It's about balance. But I believe that you have to be passionate about what you do. You can't just decide to find a widget and go sell it. You need to believe in it and love it, and be passionate about it. And I wasn't passionate about vegan products, but I was passionate about our environment and what the impact of some of these other food companies or whatever, dairy, meat, is having the impact on our climate. So that did drive me, and it made me hungry to do something better. So on top of that, I have become about 80% plant-based. I still eat fish, but look, it's all about balance in my eyes. I'm not trying to change the world and make everybody be a vegan, but if you want to do better for you and do better for our planet, or good for you and good for our planet, it's about balance. Make a better choice now and then.
Sure. Well, we invited you here today to talk a little bit about the lessons that you've learned in the development and growth of Good Planet Foods and maybe some of your other businesses over the years as well. So maybe we can start by having you just talk a little bit about what you feel are the biggest keys to your business success so far.
Well, I'm happy to. Luck is certainly, timing and luck are critical in any business. Because you can have a great idea, it can be too early or too late, right? So as I was looking at the vegan category, I was like, man, it's pretty narrow. And I was trying to figure out a way to make it more broad. So I immediately said, okay, we'll just call it dairy-free, and that'll have a bigger consumer base. But then I started viewing or learning or hearing about plant-based. And as I dove into that, I realized that everybody can be plant-based, right? Because it's about balance. That's a huge consumer base. So I looked at who those consumers were and what drove them, and I created a product and a brand that would connect with them, right? So from my last company, I learned that you can have the most amazing product on the shelf. It could be the best, but if the brand and the packaging don't connect with the consumer, Doesn't happen. The consumer buys branding and packaging first. So I really learned, you had to build a strong brand and have great packaging so it stood out amongst the others. And then, you have to have a great product because once they buy it, they better like it. So that was a huge lesson I learned before, and it helped me implement that here. It is a big part of our success because there are a lot of other products, but they don't have the branding that really connects with the consumer. And today's consumer wants to connect with the brand.
Absolutely. Actually, I'm interested. What goes into plant-based cheese? What plants?
Yeah, great question. Typically before us, most of the cheeses were soy or nut-based, or they had a huge ingredient list. We wanted to, like I said, I wanted to be able to appeal to everybody. I like to have the most boxes checked so my product can appeal and applies to everybody. So we really focused on being allergen free and having a very short ingredient deck. So for us, our initial products were coconut oil, potato starch, and some plant-based flavorings and colorings. There's a lot available. Once you can figure out the process, there's a lot available out there as far as color and flavorings that are natural and plant-based to help complement your company or your products. So we've evolved. I mean, we now have blended in some chickpea to create better texture and meltability and stretch. I mean, the things that we've had to grow with and learn, but it's pretty narrow. I mean, we want our ingredient deck very narrow.
Yeah, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would you say has been the most valuable business lesson that you've learned over the years?
Wow, there's a couple. I think one is you are in control of your own destiny. There are so many negative naysayers, can't do it people out there that a lot of people I see, they get distracted. They don't even just get distracted. They decide they're not going to do it because other people didn't believe. If you're smart, you know your product, you understand your category, and you really are passionate about what you're going to do and committed, you can do it. You just have to be ready to put the pedal to the metal and kind of plug your ears and not listen to people because people have different motives. I mean, sometimes they don't feel good about what they're doing. So they don't like to, push people to be successful, or they're afraid to tell people to be successful. So you can't be afraid. You have to just believe in you, but you do have to know your category and your product 100% and believe in what you're doing. So you have to, again, unless the writing is on the wall and it's a definite can't do, it's probably not possible, you can go do it. And I think, forget in food, I mean, people show that all the time. Elon Musk, I mean, you talk about all these people. Amazon was struggling for a while. And look, you just got to stick with it. You got to believe in what you're doing and you got to execute and you can overcome and you can win.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you started out, did you have some folks that were saying, plant-based cheese, what are you doing?
Oh my God. First of all, when I first started out, like I said, when I started researching and trying to develop the product in late 2017, the people that I had been doing business with and my former investors were like, vegan cheese, man, nobody's going to buy that. It's only, only 1% of the population, it's blah, 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 blah. I mean, I'm like, okay, I saw a bigger picture, and I can't sell everybody, right? And I'm not going to take my time to sell everybody. I want to sell myself, and I'm kind of just put your head down and go. And I want to say something, and I'm not saying this to compliment myself, but I've been like, some guys they'll come up to me and they're like, man, what you've done it's amazing. You're a genius. I said, no, if I was a genius, I would have thought I would have thought way ahead and looked at all the barriers and said, I can't do this. I'm just one of these guys that ignorance is bliss. I don't think about what hurdles will come. I just figure out this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go do it, and I'll deal with the hurdles as they show up, right? So it's either over or around. Okay, you can take some bumps and bruises, but you know what? You take those bumps and bruises and you learn and you do better and you get stronger from them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. So, knowing what you know now, is there a piece of advice you would have given yourself when you first started out?
Wow. I got to tell you, here at Good Planet, uh, I I got to tell you, it's been an amazing ride. I have to pinch myself, but I think, Lisa, because it's the advice that I've given myself from all the other things that I've done, where I've learned some hard lessons. Uh, One about people. I mean, they're your biggest asset or your biggest liability. So uh, I have talked to I've learned to be very transparent and very communicative, not just with the people I work with, but with vendors, investors, buyers, the consumer. I don't like surprises, and I don't want to surprise anybody. So I try to get everything on the table. I say I like to just let's get undressed, and if we don't like what we see and you're not comfortable, we shouldn't be doing business together. I believe in delivering good news fast, bad news faster, and being very honest and open about it, owning it. So uh, I think because of that, this has been pretty seamless and very smooth sailing with an amazing the team that we've onboarded. Like I said, since we did a Series A, you can tell me to shut up anytime, but we did a Series A round in 2020, May of 2020, from some incredible investors. I mean, unbelievable. They were, most of them were Beyond Meat funds. We got the former CEO of McDonald's, and we brought this money in, and then the goal was, I was like, I'm not building facilities anymore. We're really partnering with co-packers. CapEx is, it's a lot. It takes a lot of dollars, and if I can find the right partners to do what they know how to do, and we can manage it, we're great. So we really wanted the dollars to bring in an executive level team, right? I know what I'm good at, and that's the other thing is I've told myself, just be who you are, right? Don't try to be something you're not. Be honest with who you work with. So I hired a very high level executive team. I had Bart Adlam, the former CEO of Siggy's. He took them from 10 million to 150 through an exit. And when I engage with Bart, I'm like, this is what I'm good at. This is what I like to do. This is what I'm not good at. This is all the stuff you probably won't like about me. And hopefully this is the stuff you will like about me. And we've done that with the entire team. So everybody just feels like family and everybody knows what to expect and how to work together. So it's been remarkable. So, you got to be honest with yourself and with your team. And I have to tell you, I mean, I look at everything as building a partnership and relationship and helping it be a win-win. It can't just be one way. And it pays dividends. That's all I can tell you.
That's great. So it sounds like things have been going so well. Is there anything that you would have done different if you were to start all over?
Boy. Yes, I would have said yes to slotting charges a lot earlier. Those are fees that some grocery stores want to charge you to get on shelf. And when we were initially out of the gates, we were young. I didn't want to risk the dollars because I didn't have a lot of capital initially. So I said, not paying those. And of course, larger competitors came in. They didn't care, and they could. But in hindsight, that would be the one thing I would have done is bought my way on the shelf and kind of rolled the dice and risked those dollars. But I didn't know what was coming, Lisa. I didn't know that the capital would flow so easily and at a great valuation. So, but like I said, if you're asking me if I could go back and change it, yeah, I would have. In those 3 or 4 chains, that they weren't huge chains, but they were significant. It would have been an additional 1,000 stores. That would have been fantastic because in those small chains, they're not bringing in 3 or 4 vendors, right? They're keeping it more narrow because they're smaller. So harder to get on the shelf, but I would have liked to own them. Would have liked to have that opportunity. Other than that, no. Like I said, I have to pinch myself pretty regularly about how well things have gone here and the way the investment team that we have, the executive team that we've built. who it's helped me become and how I've learned and even how our team has grown. I mean, my initial 3 employees have grown into, significant, into senior leaders here, and they've learned and grown. And I love to see that. So, helping people be successful and persevere and have good lives it's a lot. It's a great part of the what we do.
That's amazing. How have you gone about finding the right people to bring on board and also getting connected with the right investors?
Well, again, going through the process that I went through at previous companies, it took a lot. I mean, I guess I was a lot more stubborn in how I was going to do things. And resumes are great, but you really got to dive deep and ask some good questions and make sure you're aligned with people above and beyond what their job will be and what the goal of the company is. That's great, but you have to be aligned on how you're going to work together. So that really helped me get, like I said, have these conversations with potential partners, employees, but partners. I like to treat everybody as a partner. Titles don't mean anything if you're not winning and you're not happy. So I'll play my card, my title, if the guillotine's about to drop and my head's on it. But other than that, we're all here for the same thing. We all have the same goals and want to build a company and have a great time and be successful and be happy. So we've reached out. It's been a lot of word of mouth, a lot of connecting the dots. Again, relationships. My investors. I wasn't out raising capital actively, but I was in a category that was attracting a lot of attention. So I was getting pelted by funds and investors that wanted to talk, but I really wasn't raising capital. But I met with the group, Cleveland Ave, and the former CEO of McDonald's. That's his fund, and he's on the board of Beyond Meats. And I saw an opportunity to collaborate with Beyond Meat, and plant-based cheese, plant-based meat. We should work together in some regards. So I met with that team, and at the end of the meeting, they said, "Hey, you know what? We love what you're doing. We'd love to discuss a potential to collaborate, invest." And I'm like, "Well, we're not raising capital right now, but thank you." And we just continued the conversation. And the more that I saw how they did business and who they were, the more I knew they were the right partner. Because, again, saying they were aligned with how to do business with other people, relationship, partnership, win-win, not talking from top down that, we're commanding you. It's all about creating this great atmosphere and building a great team so that we're all successful, but we're having a good time doing it at the same time. And I've learned from my previous companies, a dollar is not a dollar. You get what comes with that dollar, whether it's knowledge or lack of knowledge or arrogance or greed. And you want dollars that are aligned with you, not just for a successful outcome, but with you as a person and how you operate, right? You don't want to be looking behind you all the time. So, I was fortunate at my last company, Popcorn Bay. I had amazing investors. The greatest people, high level, wealth people, angel guys from the highest levels at companies. That's the highest level companies in the world. But then you pick one bad one, and whoops, it's time to go. You don't want to work with people like that. You want to share a good agenda, and you don't like people that are just out for them or their own selfish greed and are deceitful. But they'll want to do things the right way and win. So
yeah,
it's been. Look, you can't you got to learn your lessons, and if you don't take a few punches, and sometimes someone like me who's stubborn has to be punched a couple more times, but that's okay. As long as you figure it out and you implement those lessons, it's all good.
Absolutely. That's great. Well, I want to end with one last question, which is, what is one prediction that you would make about the future of business, or maybe sustainability, or maybe plant-based food?
Mm-hmm.
You pick it.
Okay, well, let's talk about sustainability because it's becoming more and more at the top of everybody's discussions, and what we have to do as a society, as a world. it's imperative that we all do our part to have a balance in an impact on our climate. Not just for us, because it's going to impact people my age, but our children's children. We have an opportunity today to make things better for them. Because if we don't, we see what's happening, and it's only going to get worse. And it's funny. I mean, now you see, that the world leaders are starting to really pay attention to it, which they weren't, 3 or 4 years ago. It was a discussion point, but it wasn't top of mind, and it is today. So I really believe that this sustainability factor is going to cause everybody to change and find that balance in their life. And again, I'm not demonizing the meat or the dairy industry. It's not going away, but we should balance how we use those products by eating plant-based, watch how we use plastics and all these things that impact our environment. And I think there's going to be a huge change over the next 5 years. We're seeing it in so many ways, but we're seeing it faster. So I think our world's going to do a lot better in that regard.
Excellent. Well, that's really exciting. So as that happens, we would love to have you come back and talk a little bit more about sustainability.
Okay.
Thank you so much for making time to be here today and to share all your lessons with us.
It's an honor, Lisa. I hope that I helped your audience, but I'd love for them to learn from what I've learned. And like I said, you have a great idea, just shift into gear and go. You can persevere.
Agreed. Go do it, guys.
Be happy.
Talk to you again soon, David.
Thank you, Lisa.